Let's turn the attention to the quarterback, and specifically Deshaun Watson. You watch the all 22s all the time. When you look at what Watson did, specifically last year, I don't know that we gain anything by going back 2 years to the suspension year. Um, do you still see the elite quarterback in there? In what does he need? If you do, what does he need to do to get there more consistently?
I mean, evidence that the elite quarterback is still there. I don't know that we have any in Cleveland per se. I mean, there's a pretty good half against the Ravens where he started to realize like just taking what he can get, using his legs, and just being smarter with the football is something he should be doing. He's kind of laid breadcrumbs about that, about he doesn't need to play hero ball this offseason. I don't know that we've had an elite glimpse of him here, but I can say it's better than the perception is league wide. I certainly think he's still an adequate quarterback to good. And I've said it for so long on my podcast. Like he just has to play. I mean, you're talking about 12 games across like 4 seasons at this point, 3 seasons. It kind of gets murky because he didn't play all of 20. Sorry, he didn't play all of 21. He didn't play the first half of 22, played 6 games that year. And then he played what, 4 games, 5 games last
Last year,
year.
yeah.
You're just not talking about enough football over the course of a long period of time to just feel comfortable. If he just plays, he needs reps. He needs to be out there. He needs to be thinking through things and working through coverage concepts and getting the football where it's supposed to be. It's such a muscle memory sport, and people think you can step away for years and just pick up where you left off, and that's not the case. You got to think the last time Deshaun Watson played a full season, there were no home crowds. There were not people in the stands. Like that's how long it's been for him to play a full season of football. He needs it more than anything else. The Browns have to be begging for outcomes this year. And listen, they want him to be great. They want him to be elite. That's the best outcome. But the thing they need is an answer. Can he still do it or can he not? And you can't get that answer from a guy who plays 2 games, misses 4, plays 2, misses 6, and then comes out. Like you can't get that answer. You need him to play every game on the schedule and stay healthy. So if he can do that, I truly do believe there is still a pretty good quarterback in there. And if he can continue to play and get the reps and be smarter about taking care of his body, stop taking big hits that are unnecessary, and play within the means of operating an offense and not feeling like you have to be the driving force all the time, pick your spots, as they say. I think there is a really good quarterback in there still, like a top 10 version. Is it a top 3 version, the one we saw in 2020? I would be lying if I said that that is like still there because we haven't seen it here. But that's not to put a cap on what he can be if he just plays. He just has to play, which is so silly to say out loud. But when you look at the scope of missed games versus the dates in which he was actually playing in all of those games years ago, it is pretty jarring to think about like 12 starts over that span. That's just a lot of football missed. So he needs to play.
Yeah, and to your point last year, I don't think he played 3 consecutive games. It was 2,
He did
injured for
not.
4. Yeah, so that and you're remember you're saying muscle memory, rhythm. You can't. I mean, if you're in 2 out 4, you can't get any type of that kind of thing
Right.
going. That's so critical to playing quarterback.
And it's different. You can say, well, in 21, he was maybe not, he wasn't suspended. He was around the team. He was maybe like that whole situation was weird in Houston where he was like wanting to be traded, wasn't traded, was doing like their scout teams. It was so strange. So, like, that is a whole year of nothing but weird practice. Then suspended, can't even be around the team for the first portion of the 22 season. And then is so hurt last year at times, even between those games when he was starting, that he couldn't practice then. So it's not even just games. He's not even had a normal run of practice for a long time. Like, and practice is one thing. It is different. Practice. It's live and that's fine, but you're not actually taking hits. As a quarterback, they're not allowed to hit you. So it's just a different mental burden to carry in practice than it is in the game. And that's why I think it's so important for him to play. And every time he can play, he needs to play because he needs to get comfortable again with the feeling of 4 300-pound guys up front who want to rip your head off. Like that's a unique sport thing that is only football related for quarterbacks, that singular position. And he needs to experience that and get comfortable with that chaos again, that chaos that can't even be provided in practice because it's just not the same thing. But when you take it even a step back and look at like not only that, but like missed practice time, it's not even hard to understand why he struggled, is it? When you really look at it that way,
Yeah.
if you took Patrick Mahomes out of Kansas City and said play 12 games over 3 years in practice and what 25% of those 3 years, do you think Patrick Mahomes would be as great? I just don't. It's
No.
just hard to do that. So I think in the grand scheme of the Deshaun Watson conversation, we miss how little football the guy has played and an expectation of any athlete period to miss that much time in their sport is pretty insane to think about trying to hold them to a standard of being elite again quickly. That is an unfair request. So I hope that situation returns for him, but the only way it returns is he plays all of this year. And by the end of the season, you're starting to see some glimpses of that happening. And then you get really excited about next year because he's playing consistently. His body's healthy. His mind is in a better place. That's just it.